And again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, everyone? Hope that you're having a very nice weekend, enjoying your weekend. Well, thank you for those who have been waiting for us for a very long time. I know that most of you were waiting for Dr. Mohammed Khalil, our super outstanding professor, who's going to talk today about the writing component in the IELTS exam. Okay, so let's wait for our guest, Dr. Mohammed Khalil. Let's invite him just right now. Okay, thank God that he's here. Invite. All right. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Dr. Khalil? How are you?
How are you doing? How are you doing, Dr. Hind? How are you?
I'm very fine, alhamdulillah. And how's everything? How's your weekend?
Nice, you know. I don't actually go outside home, but I do that once in a blue moon. Yeah.
Oh my God! You don't spend your weekend outside. You don't go for
Just
outgoings.
once in a blue moon.
Oh my God! Once in a blue moon. What does this mean? Once in a blue moon, Dr. Mohammed? Is this an idiom?
Yeah, that's an idiomatic expression. Yes.
I think it means that you rarely do this, right?
Yes. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Great.
And this shows that, anyway, I'm really over the moon today because I'm with you.
Thank you, sir. This is so nice compliment of you. Okay, now let's start our episode. As everybody know, as you all know, guys, that today's episode is mainly about Dr. Mohammed.
Writing.
Writing.
I know.
Okay. Let's start our writing, and let me ask you a question. The most important question in the writing: why do our students complain because of this component in specific?
I know quite well.
Yeah. Okay. Please go ahead.
Actually, the problem with writing is that writing is not just vocabulary. Writing is not just sentence structures. The problem with that writing is that it requires development of ideas as well. So you provide ideas in an essay form, and you have to watch the sentence structure. You've got to watch your vocabulary. So my God, it's really sometimes a pain in the neck. It's a headache. As you know, it's a headache. In other words, you don't just write as you're writing your letters or emails. I guess one of the hardest things in IELTS is that you're required to stick to the academic style of writing. By academic, I mean you have to write in the same way we write our dissertations or we write our thesis. Or do you get what I mean? So yes, we've got to watch the academic style as well.
I see. You mean that there is a certain outline for each writing genre that we have to be committed to. We cannot just write letter for the sake of writing a letter, or just the same manner we write an email, for example, right?
That's true. And that's why it's very important as well that you can be perfectly well in writing business emails. But when it comes to IELTS writing, you're not getting the score you want, because you can be wonderful in the emails or the business reports you're writing. But at the end of the day, you're not doing anything.
This will take us to another point, actually, which is why do many students get very high band score in other components, unlike the writing? When it comes to the writing, for example, I've seen one of my students who was complaining that he got 8.5, believe it or not, 8.5 in the speaking. Listening, he got 8, and then in the reading, he got
the writing.
8. But for the writing, he got 5.5.
Oh.
Believe it or not, it's a big gap.
It's quite stressful. It's quite stressful as well. Actually, there's something you've got to bear in mind. Everybody, you have to bear in mind something, that the writing is the last skill you answer in the exam. In other words, as you know quite well, that when you start the listening, you start with the listening, then you read, and then you wind up the exam with the writing. So when it comes to writing, you are already fatigued. You're so tired to write anything, and you have to come up with ideas. Yeah, you've got to come up with ideas, structure, academic style, vocabulary. all that all at once at the very end of an exam, and you are really tired. So that's why many students don't make it in the writing, because they've already lost a lot of their energy in the listening, then reading. So when it comes to writing, you're already so tired. And that's a huge problem. That's why I always say to my students, you've got to keep your battery. In other words, you're doing very well in the listening, but always bear in mind, you've got a marathon, a long thing to do. So you've got to still have to watch your listening, reading, and then writing IELTS. So you still have time. You have to keep your battery. And that's why, Madam Hind, it's very important to tell them something, that you have to ask everyone taking the exam to sleep well, because stress drains your battery. By the way, the word drain means it makes your battery empty. So yes, thank you. It kills the energy. Yeah. So it's very important, actually, and that's something to hammer home. Hammer home means to emphasize that sleep well. Don't worry about the IELTS stress. Get out of the IELTS phobia. Enjoy, relax, hit the score.
Great. So can you add meat and potato to your speech, sir?
What is it? Sorry?
Can I add some meat and potato to your speech?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't get that question. Sorry, pardon?
Can I add some meat and potato?
Of course, yeah, go ahead.
Speech. Okay, this is another idiom. Meat and potato is the core, is the essence of something, all right? So adding some meat and potato to your speech, this means that I'm going to give another advice for the students. Unfortunately, our students usually, or most of our students, depend on themselves. They do it on their own. They do a self-study in order to prepare themselves for the exam. Let me give this advice for those who are willing to take the test very soon. You will be able to improve in all the three components: reading, listening, and writing, and speaking. But when it comes to the writing, you need someone to evaluate you, someone to tell you what are your weakness points, what are your strengths that you should focus on, what's missing in each paragraph, what is the transitive words or phrases that you should use in order to connect your phrases and paragraphs together. Am I right, Doctor?
Yeah. I 100% full-heartedly agree with you. Yeah, of course. I definitely agree with this, that we've got to understand the importance of feedback. But still, I just need to draw your attention to something very important. Is that sometimes for those who do not have someone to help them with the feedback, they still can get the feeling of academic IELTS through model answers. Model answers, I mean that you can go search online for model answers of task 2 and task 1 academic or general. So the more you read, the better. In other words, if you read samples of model answers of task 1 and task 2, that might give you an overall idea of what you're supposed to write in your essay.
There are very good websites, online websites and YouTube channels to explain exactly what should they do for mastering the skills needed in the writing exam, right?
Yes. So that's why...
Please recommend some of these websites, please, or YouTube channel, Dr. Mohammed, so that we can add them to the description of the video later on.
I recommend your website. I recommend your channel. I recommend, of course... No.
Okay, I'm afraid there's something wrong. Okay, great. Dr. Mohammed, are you there?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Great. Yes. Everything is okay. Don't worry.
Okay. So what I'm saying, actually, if you want me to recommend some websites for the IELTS, of course, we have the IELTS Liz, IELTS Buddy. They're really quite good, I guess. And there's something else I would like to tell you, that I think IELTS Buddy is a very good website as well. IELTS Advantage, very nice, very good website. It's very important to follow those websites on Facebook, to watch IELTS Buddy, to visit IELTS Advantage, IELTS Liz, IELTS-simon.com. These are really good websites, because I don't want you guys to get into websites that provide not 100% correct information.
Yes.
I just need to say something. I'm afraid that some of you, I know that some of you are from India or Pakistan. I know that some of your followers, Dr. Hind, are from India and Pakistan.
Yes.
That's why I'm speaking English.
On this page, we have a variety of nationalities. So
I
that's
know.
why. Yes.
على فكرة في حاجة, I want to tell you something, by the way, that يمكن يعني الحمد لله الكتاب عندي, my book اللي هو IELTS Advantage, IELTS Expert.
Your own book.
Yeah, الحمد لله أنا برضه عملت كتاب عندي, يمكن هو أهو IELTS Expert. الكتاب الحمد لله يمكن I tried my best to compile a number of trusted, 100% trusted essays that I graded, and most of the essays got 8, 8.5 or 9. It's very important to get familiar with the high band score essays so that you get the feeling. And by the way, I must say this, I have to admit it, you have to improve your vocabulary. You must improve your vocabulary. It's not about writing, it's about ideas, vocabulary, variety of grammar, variety of structures.
This is my upcoming question, Dr. Mohammed. I was about to ask you, what else do you recommend? What else do you advise our students to go for, rather than referring to some websites or some YouTube channels? What else can they do to improve their writing?
Actually, I definitely advise them all to read more about synonyms, vocabulary, advanced vocabulary. And by the way, Madam Hind, there's something very important that I would like all followers and candidates to IELTS to apply and write on Google, write C1 advanced vocabulary. C1 by C1 we're saying that's advanced level vocabulary, or B2 vocabulary. When you write on Google search V1, I think you'll find a number of advanced vocabulary that will definitely help you all get the score you want.
It's different than intermediate level vocabulary, right?
Yeah, I'm not looking at intermediate. I always like to, you know this. Yeah, you know what? I think that you've got to do your best and always think about the score that's higher than the target score you want to get.
I agree with you. Totally agree with you.
Thank you. And one more thing I would like to add.
Yes.
Grammatical variety. Yes. And once again, I can see that many of our candidates are not paying enough attention to punctuation marks, because actually in Arabic, as you know, we're not 100% concerned with the punctuation marks. So I would like to advise everyone from now onwards, read about punctuation marks, especially the use of full stop, comma, and semicolon. So you've got to use a variety of punctuation marks, but use them correctly. في حاجة بس يا مدام هند بتقلقني جدا. Something that really concerns me a lot. It's actually, some people think that IELTS writing is about grammar and vocabulary. No, it's deeper than that. You have to surpass the form and go beyond that to the content. Okay.
Okay, great. Yes,
ideas. Yes. Yeah, you have to give ideas, supported examples. You cannot simply give me sweeping statements, general, without supporting ideas.
Good.
Yeah, go ahead, Madam.
This will take us to another question, Dr. Mohammed, okay? And let me please try to lend a penny of your thoughts.
Oh, what does that mean?
Come on, lend a penny of yours. I know that you know it, but anyway, let me explain it for those who don't know it. To lend a penny of yourself, this means that you explain more. You give me more ideas of what you already know. Okay, so this takes us to another point. Would you please explain to us what are the criteria of checking the writing task, either task 1 or task 2? Are they the same criteria, Dr. Mohammed?
No, no, almost the same, but not definitely the same. No. Of course, you know quite well that in task 1 there's something very important called task response. In other words, that we have to, for example, task 1 academic, you've got to cover the figures and the numbers and the data to be provided in task 1 academic. What I mean by data is that you cannot, in task 1 academic, you cannot simply give general statements without providing examples of figures and statistics from the line graph, bar chart, tables, or even pie chart. You have to provide sentences in comparison. You make comparison, use a variety of structure, but you have to give the figures. When it comes to task 1 general, you must do something called task response. Task response means that you are answering all the points below the topic. So you're required to write a letter to your friend, and in this letter, tell your friend what your problem is, suggest solutions, and tell him where you live, for example. So you have to answer all the questions and to respond to the prompts or the mini points under the topic. But in task 2, you have to watch what? In task 2, you have to watch in IELTS writing task 2. You've got to watch grammar, content. You have to watch your vocabulary and lexical resources. And most importantly, you have to use the cohesion and coherence, which is called the CC, or cohesion and coherence as well, which is a major, of course.
Exactly. Yeah, this is what's right in my hand right now. I just opened the page for writing task 1, then descriptors, which is the public version. It's public for everyone. So it's mainly different bands. As we all know that we have different bands for the IELTS test takers, which ranges between 0 to 9, right? And there are 4 main components upon which the examiner builds his evaluation for how good your writing essay is. So the 4 components are task achievement, as you, sir, just mentioned. Number 2 is the coherence and cohesion. Number 3 is the lexical resource. And number 4 is grammatical range and accuracy. Am I right? Okay.
Thank you.
For grammatical, let's discuss each point individually if you still have time. Dr. Mohammed, I won't take much of your time. I know that you're so busy. A busy bee always, okay?
Wow, that's a nice idiom as well.
Yeah, you're
wow.
busy bee. So
you're using lots of idioms. I can see that.
I like using idioms, and I believe that using idioms is one of the shortest and the fastest ways to master the English language.
Yes.
And you know, for those who speak idioms naturally, I believe that it's one of the easiest ways to make your speech look exactly as a native speaker. So
I just want to tell you something. I just need to add something here. Okay, I totally agree with you, but we don't have to overuse idioms once again. Yeah, because it's not natural. In other words, you know what? One of the students, with the very first question, we asked the student, "What's your name?" And he said, "That's a piece of cake question." I said, "What? Just give me your name. You don't have to hit me with idioms with every question I ask you."
Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
Great. Thank you, Dr. Mohammed, for this advice. Another question here, again, it's related to the IELTS idioms. Can we use these idioms in the writing, formal writing? Okay.
Actually, this is quite tricky because some idioms are so formal and some idioms are informal. And the student has to be very good enough to differentiate between formal and informal idioms. And that's one point where he needs an expert to tell the student when to use and when not to use, because most of the idiomatic expressions are used in speaking. So that's why sometimes we give an advice to candidates not to use idioms in speaking, in writing, I'm sorry.
The speaking test, right?
Yeah, but let's go back to your point about cohesion and coherence and the other parameters.
It's about where to say what to say, or what to say and when. You cannot use it just for the sake of using the idioms, right? But we're here trying to teach our students some idioms, right? So that they can improve the speaking naturality in front of the examiner. Am I correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's the naturalness that matters, yes.
Yes.
And one more thing.
Yes, please go ahead, Dr. Mohammed.
I would like you to explain to us something about the parameters of IELTS writing. Parameters means the standards. And I would like just to go straight into cohesion and coherence. Can you please just tell us more, Dr. Hind? Because, of course, I'll be writing down the points you're saying.
That's my pleasure. It's an honor, Dr. Mohammed. Well, let me read it now, because I know that most of the students are shooting for the stars. They're really, their goals are really, really high. So I didn't mean to say for the stars as an idiom, by the way, all right? It just came natural, very naturally. So let me read the coherence and cohesion part for those who are seeking score band 9. Their coherence and cohesion should be, here I have 2 bullets. One of them says, using cohesion in such a way that it attracts no attention.
Okay.
Point number 2, skillfully manages paragraphing. So it's mainly it's not only about how do you understand the writing prompt given to you. It's also about the way you respond to what is in front of you, to your writing prompt. Am I right?
Yeah, of course, yes.
Again, this measures how good you understand, or how well did you understand the writing prompt in front of you, and how well do you respond to it.
Yeah. هو في حاجة بس عايز أقولها هنا دكتورة هند. There is something I would like to mention, which is the use of connectors. استخدام الكونكتورز زي moreover و in addition و however والحاجات الحلوة بتاعتنا التحابيش دي يعني. The problem with these تحابيش, the problem with these connectors is that some people actually overuse them. بيستخدمهم بزيادة يعني بيأفوروا في الاستخدام يعني. يعني تلاقي واحد يقول لك internet is so important, moreover it helps us in our education. However, it has got its disadvantages. In other words, So actually, I guess this is a major problem that you've got to watch. Yes.
Yes. So you mean yani, too much of a good thing is a bad thing, right? Yes. Never use too much of anything.
Yes, never ever. No. Keep it natural.
Keep being natural. Dr. Mohammed, for the grammar range and accuracy, what's your advice for our students, please?
Always for the vocabulary range, you mean? For the vocabulary range and lexical...
grammar first.
The grammar first, you've got to be familiar with the different structures of the sentence. In other words, you've got to read more about the simple, compound, complex, subordinate phrases, clauses. So you've got to be aware of the different sentence structures that are used in any academic writing, and this definitely provides a variety and richness to the style of academic writing you're using in IELTS writing, especially, and both tasks, by the way. I'm talking here about task 1 and 2, because some students, some colleagues, and some candidates think that task 1 is simple since you're writing a letter to your friend, so you don't have to use complex structures or compound. No, on the contrary, you can still use a variety of sentence structures, even if you are writing task 1 or task 2. And also, don't forget a variety of tenses. But I'm still worried about the variety of tenses, because some students, they want to use the the variety of tenses, and they use them in the wrong way, and we end up with many mistakes. So you've got to watch and learn and get feedback. What's the use of vocabulary, academic structure, variety of sentences and tenses? And that's very important. Prepare yourself well. You've got to be well prepared.
All right. So you mean that simple sentences, you cannot use simple sentences in all the way. For example, this goes for the speaking and for the writing as well, right? So we can't say, for example, let me think about an example. We can't say technology has many advantages. It helps us. Yes, full stop. Then it helps us in many fields. Full stop. And then it's good for the education. Full stop. Can I do this?
No. Because you'll be stopping the reader all the way.
Yes.
انت قاعده تحط فول ستوبس معناها قاعده ترمي زلط قدامه كل شويه يوقف. No, I don't advise that.
Then we'll have to connect the sentences together using these what we call conjunctions, whatever coordinated conjunctions.
Yes.
In order to form variety of sentences, not only simple. You know, one of the examiners, the very well-known examiners, told me that unfortunately these simple sentences, when they are often used in the writing exam, unfortunately they don't give them a very high score band for these simple sentences. They do not usually exceed band score 5.
Okay, but still.
For not using complex or compound sentences.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that, but I have to use them correctly. Yeah. The problem is that, Dr. Hind, the students want to use the complex and compound, and then they use them in the wrong way, and we end up with many mistakes. There's something very important. If you want really to be ambitious and get a good score, you've got to read a lot about these items like complex, compound. You have to master them in writing. And one more thing, I reiterate that reiterate means I repeat the same idea. I would like to reiterate the same idea. Repeat. It's not just about the structure. It's not just about the sentence. It's also about your argument. Your ideas. If your ideas are flat, general, sorry, you won't make it. You've got to provide deep ideas with examples.
Are not very shallowish ideas, or not very highly recommended, since they do not reflect the writer's point of view. They just write. They feel, or the examiner just feels that the examiner is just writing for the sake of writing, nothing more than this. That's why this deducts a lot of the given marks, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's why it's very important to watch your grammar, but use it correctly. Yes.
One final question, Dr. Mohammed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Would you clarify to us the difference between the academic writing and the general writing, since we know that we have 2 modules for the IELTS exam, one for the academic and one for the general? What's the difference between them? Okay,
I just would like to tell you that the academic writing is simply 2 tasks, and the general as well. Both general and academic are modules, or the academic module and the general training. We've got 2 tasks, task 1 and task 2. In the general, task 1 is a letter, and you can send this letter in a form, formal, semi-formal or informal. But task 1 academic is scientific, and it is a descriptive essay. Descriptive essay by descriptive essay, we mean that we have to mention figures, statistics, numbers, and we have to provide a scientific writing of charts. So these are all charts. And I would like to tell you that academic and general, they've got the same parameters of evaluation, But in academic, you have to mention figures and numbers in the writing, especially task 1 academic. Task 2 general and academic are both of them are almost the same. We use the same style.
Okay, so so many questions here were given by our audience. One of them is Suha. Suha, hi. She's saying that I'm an IELTS phobic. Okay, first sentence. How do you comment on this sentence? An IELTS phobic.
Yeah. I'm too. By the way, I've got phobia about IELTS. Me too, no problem.
Seriously?
No. I took the exam more than once, by the way. I took the exam 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in my school...
exam, by the way. Every time they update the exam, I go for it to check my skills and to know what
Yeah, why not?
Some of
Actually,
my students wonder, why do I take it these days? But I tell them that I really want to be updated with the types of questions, the topics, this stuff, and so on. So again,
it's very
let's
important.
go back to that. She's an IELTS phobic, sir. What can she do?
Okay, so I just want you, if you really very much worried about the IELTS, I just want you to study IELTS for the sake of language. By then, you don't have to think a lot about your score or your grade. Improve your language and you'll get the score. If you think about the score, you understand me? If you study for language, you'll get the score. That's it. And always remember, study smart, not hard. Study smart. Watch lots of videos. Read model answers. And you don't have to panic, because after all, you can take the exam every week. Yes.
Do you think that receiving is a bit easier than producing? I mean, to receive the information is better than to sit down on your desk and putting your book in front of you, keep on reading or writing. I would prefer to keep on listening, watching, and practicing as much as possible, because these are negative skills. You just gain, just like a little born child. When he or she keeps on receiving for the first 2 years of his life, and then start to, speak up all what he's got in his or her memory.
Yes.
This is exactly what happens for the IELTS or any language learner.
Yes. IELTS for life. IELTS for language, not for the band. And you'll get the band.
Practice makes
perfect.
Yes,
thank you.
This was a perfect interview. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Meeting you. Please promise our audience that we're going to be very soon. Okay?
Yeah. God bless you. Thank you, Madam Hind. Thank you. Barakallahu fiki. Thank you. God bless you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Wa alaikum assalam. Bye.